I held my bubbly drink up to the microphone during the quiet part because, like, it sounded like good ASMR.
I have water. I can't help you. I just have a glass of water.
It's one of my little energy drinks right now.
Oh yeah.
It's nothing too exciting. And also, I took a red eye this morning, so I am a fraction of a person right now.
No, I did. My flight was fine yesterday. Really, only 3 hours back, but
Your flight was fine. They only lost your luggage.
I'm so mad. Like, I mean, like, actually, no, it could have been way worse. Like, my laptop comes with me and all that stuff, so like, it's not that big a deal. It was just some clothes and like things that I purchased, but still, I went to Houston for no reason. And literally, the guy at the counter, who was super nice, I flew United, and they were very just upfront, and they were like, "Yeah, it's user error. Like, we just put it in the wrong place and tagged it the wrong thing." And I was like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, I mean, as long as you get it, it's very frustrating, but it happens, and it's a good thing that it happened on your way home rather than there. I think if I'm going to a place and my luggage got lost, that's when I'd
Yeah.
have, the biggest panic about it.
Oh, well, I would be fucked in that point. Yeah, that was all my clothes. That was all my everything. So yeah, if I showed up to South by and it took me 2 days to get like everything I needed, that would have been a nightmare.
I
Yes, no
literally
bueno.
would have been doing interviews in sweatpants and a sweatshirt.
Literally, I'm in sweatpants and a tank top right now because I have my new titty tat.
Yeah, let's see it. Top titty tat.
Top titty tat.
Tell everybody
It's like,
what it is in case they don't know. There's a beautiful meaning behind it.
it is, yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm wearing a wrestling shirt anyway for best friends. But yeah, my new little. I did this while I was in Austin. I don't know if I told you, but so the quick backstory is I get my tattoos in Austin because my guy, who was my LA guy, moved to Austin. So every time I go to Austin, I add something else. But I was talking to him, and we had a beer or two after the tattoo. He's like, "Hey, you want to go just hang?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely," because like we've become friendly now. And he seriously was like, "Yeah, I'm moving back to LA, so like I'm gonna be back in your hood pretty soon. So like I get my guy back, and I don't have to wait anymore." But the actual meaning of the tattoo, as you see, it's a little skull. It's a little cartoony skull. It's cute. It's adorable. There's a wrestler named Willow Nightingale, and her motto is "Nothing matters, smile anyway." And this is the icon from her like most popular shirt at the moment. So it's just my little bit of a remembering that slogan when I wake up every morning and I look in the mirror and I go, "Oh, that's right. I have something on my chest now."
I looked her up immediately when you told me.
She's the best.
Really?
Willow is so good.
Really, really cool. I like good vibes. I like things that remind you of good vibes and positivity. I dig it. I dig it.
That's this side of my body. This side of my body will be good vibes. This side is all the food and
good
horror.
vibes, horror food. That sounds like a really good balance for one to have.
Could be good vibes because like my menu tattoo is a good meaning out of that movie. So I didn't get this tattoo to be like burn it all down and shit like that. Like it's to go back to the things that made you kind of want to do what you love, the passion side of it.
All right. So both sides, good vibes.
Good vibes.
So how was your South by overall? That's what today's episode is going to be. Yeah. It's going to be like one big old South by recap. So what was like your general consensus on the festival?
The festival for me was very good, very productive. This is probably the festival that I've done the least amount of socializing and the least amount of like outside. I didn't go to a single after party. That is how you know I was busy. Like I didn't do a single after party. I think I've logged 16 reviews, at least 14 are published at this point. I've got a little more to catch up with. I'm actually doing one of the movies I will not talk about today is Oddity because I haven't. That's tonight. It's my screening tonight. Okay. So that's like one of my last ones I'm gonna write. But I pitched it late to Inverse and they took it. So my review will be up tomorrow or the day after for Oddity. But yeah, otherwise, it was a really good one. And like I got to write for Collider, I got to write for IGN, I got to write for Inverse. Daily Dead helped me out. So like I like literally looking back on it, I think this was my best South by ever. Like hands down. That was the best.
That's awesome. I mean it's top tier South by for me. I whipped up a little list. It looks like I came out with a total of 25 films and shows that I saw, but one kind of spreads out because I watched all the indie TV showcase shows, so there were actually 4 of them there. I did 20 interviews total. I did the Sydney Sweeney featured session, which like I still can't believe that happened, and that's probably the thing that I'm most proud of. It was
You
just,
were in the video package the day after. It was so
was
funny.
I really?
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
so
Oh,
crazy.
you got a placement of like it was going through all the cool things that happened the day before, and like you talking to Sydney was like you. I forget what question it was, but
I
like you
wish
got a
I had
question in there.
seen that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You because you were the bumper before every movie that day.
Fuck, that's insane.
Yeah,
I hope I was asking like a smart question, not
yeah.
a
No, it played very well. Do not
stupid
worry.
one. Okay, good, good. Oh, that's crazy. I always look at that and I'm like, oh, won't be in the
Hmm.
bumper.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Um, she was great. She was really easy to talk to for an hour, and it was a good combo. I'm excited. You saw Immaculate. We're gonna get into that a little
we can
today.
talk about that one.
I think we're on opposite sides of that divide.
Yeah,
Um, before we get into specific movies, want to hit these soupies?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mirror Domains wants to know, saw Love Lies Bleeding this weekend and really liked it. Katie O'Brien was fantastic. Could not agree more. You liked it,
Yeah,
right, Matt?
I liked it more than I thought I would. Having nothing to do with like the cast or anything, but like for me, it was more. Again,
Oh,
I
because you
am
didn't love Saint Maud, right? Yeah.
exactly. I didn't love Saint Maud, but I think I liked Love Lies Bleeding because she gives way more. Saint Maud for me was the ending. It was 80 something minutes of build up and then 2 seconds of an ending. For me, there was
Hmm.
so much more investment in these characters and so much more
Okay.
investment in like what is happening on screen. So like for me, like if you like movies like Cold in July and things of that nature, I felt a real kinship of those films. And yeah, I mean Stewart and O'Brien, absolutely phenomenal. Though like they might be some of my favorite performances by the end of the year still.
They're perfect together. I thought they were great. Wiley, what's up, Wiley? Just watched Plus One this weekend. Fantastic. Maya Erskine is amazing. Want her in more things. Any good rom-coms at South by Southwest? I saw quite a few.
I was gonna say, so I only saw one. You did more of the straight rom coms. The one I saw that we'll talk about is Time Stalker. I can get into
Oh,
later,
I didn't
but
see that one.
Time Stalker was great. Science fiction rom com with time hopping elements. Great like physical comedy. It's I if you want me to start by talking about it, I can, but let me know.
We can I mean, I have no logical roadmap for this show unless we want to do like, top down or bottom up,
No,
whatever.
I think we can just chat with it. So I will take very briefly then Time Stalker and just do my spiel on it now. If you saw Prevenge, which is on Shudder, that was Alice Lowe's directorial and written debut. You will recognize Alice Lowe as a British actress in so many things. Like she is so funny in Ben Wheatley stuff, like across the board sightseers. But this Time Stalker is her second film, written and directed, and it is once again like what I've just said. It is basically about this woman who starts in like puritanical early ages, and she is a follower to this like priest preacher type cult dude, and in that period, she like kind of says like we'll forever be connected. We'll forever. I'll find you in any life, and she immediately dies horribly graphically. It's very funny. It is a comedy in there. Don't worry. But from there, basically, we get her in different periods, like the 1700s, 1800s, the 1980s, and it's all about her finding this guy over and over again. And like, she doesn't really have the right memories, but it plays with like reincarnation, all this stuff. And I know that sounds weird as fuck, and it is. It's super weird, but it's a super good payoff from an ambitious filmmaker who has such a solid voice and like command of tone over this entire film. Shouldn't work as well as it does. Nick Frost plays this continual kind of wedge between her and her fantasies, who is like his name is George, and like George starts as a dog and ends up as like the reincarnation of a dog in other time eras, and like he is the bastard, and like it's so smart, it's so good. So yeah, it plays with rom-com conventions, it has fun with them, it's super genre bendy, and it's one of those that I would like recommend if you like rom-coms that look nothing like anything you have seen in Hollywood.
That's one that was on my list that I
So
didn't
good.
get to.
Yep.
Um, rom-coms. I'm looking at my list right now. I mean, The Fall Guy has a romantic comedy element to it.
Mm-hmm.
I
I wouldn't say it's like a
saw
rom-com, but like it definitely has it.
like action rom-com.
Yeah.
Action, romance, comedy, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
thriller.
Yeah.
A more like a more straightforward rom-com, I guess, would be A Nice Indian Boy, which I found absolutely delightful.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just bring up the actual synopsis so they can get you up to speed on everything pretty. Oh, this one's a long one though. Self-effacing Dr. Naveen meets Jay, a white man adopted by two Indian parents, when Jay takes his picture at the hospital. Despite initial skepticism on Naveen's part, the two quickly fall in love. Naveen avoids telling his traditional family, who accepted his sexuality years earlier and are close to him, but increasingly don't know much about his life. Eventually, inevitably, Jay, with no family of his own, has to meet Naveen's family, who have never met a boyfriend of Naveen's before. What follows is the comedic and heartfelt collision between the family, Jay and Naveen caught between the versions of himself, his family, and Jay know. I thought it was really, I mean, actually, in the end, that's the beating heart, I think, of the story, or like the crux of the story, the idea of this movie featuring the collision of the relationship that Naveen has with Jay, with his boyfriend, and also the expectations his family has put on them, and how he kind of has to mesh the two together. And I thought it was really beautifully done. It was incredibly sweet. It's it's steeped in important cultural elements that let me experience a new version of the, well, now I'm reining it in because I was just about to say something that
Yeah.
could be deemed a
Yeah.
spoiler.
Yeah.
I will not do that. But the movie was absolutely delightful. It's very well directed. It is absolutely bursting at the seams with cast chemistry. I thought it was great. So A Nice Indian Boy is definitely a rom-com I would recommend. And then I'm hesitant to call this one a rom-com. It's more like the anti-rom-com in a way, but I thought it was
Okay.
very effective in what it set out to do. It's I Love You Forever.
Okay.
Let me pull up a synopsis for that one. I feel
Give
like
it
I
like
should have had all these tabs open, but then I'm like, if I open them all now, it's going to get really, really slow.
I got
The
it.
current dating landscape is bleak at best, and no one is more aware of this than Mackenzie, a disillusioned 35-year-old law student whose love life consists of non-committal hookups and situationships from hell. When she has a real-life meet-cute with Finn, a handsome and charming journalist who isn't afraid to show affection, she starts to believe true love may actually exist. When Finn's dark side begins to emerge, Mackenzie finds herself trapped in a tumultuous and depleting cycle of emotional abuse and must confront whether her true love is too good to be true after all. Like that's essentially what it is. It takes not every single, but many rom-com tropes that we all dream of experiencing in our real lives, and it's basically like all those expectations are total bullshit, and we're going to turn it on its head, and we're going to show you why that's actually not great and not healthy for relationships. And it's a hard movie to watch. Like, there were a bunch of scenes where I'm just like crawling like in my seat, like waiting for it to be over, but I mean that as a compliment. I just
Yeah.
found it to be very, very effective in exploring how someone could wind up in such a situation and wind up going deeper and deeper into that situation rather than immediately pulling away and breaking free of it.
Yeah, I mean that sounds more my speed 100% if we're talking rom-com, because like as somebody who's lived in New York and LA and has recently been in the dating scene, like, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's not
Let
easy.
me
It's
tell
not
you.
easy. This movie has a lot of really good performances. I also thought it was a really great feature directorial debut.
Nice.
But one of the performances that I loved. I want to make sure to get his name right because I thought he was phenomenal. Ray Nicholson. He is the one who plays Finn, the
Right.
the the dream boyfriend who isn't a dream boyfriend after all, and how he vacillates between like knight in shining armor, ultimate good guy, to maybe crossing some lines, I thought was just pretty damn incredible.
Yeah, I will definitely keep an eye out for that one then, because it sounds like in line with like Max and Molly from the future
Mm.
and stuff like that, which I saw last year, which is, again, give me something that is a rom-com, but at the same time just super honest about what that is now, because once again Hollywood has kind of warped our minds with what we think certain things should be. And for those raised on a
Yeah.
generation of Hollywood rom-coms, like, oh boy, Alien
There's a
Apocalypse, baby.
lot of that. There's a lot of that out there. All right, let's go to the next one from Landon. I can't wait to see Civil War. All the reviews enhanced my excitement for it. Matt, I think this might wind up being one of my favorite films of the whole damn year.
Yeah, I hesitantly say that because obviously we've both seen it and know what it is about, and it is still a movie that I am just kicking around in my head because it plays ambiguous because that's the point of it in a way. But it's my favorite Garland. I can tell you that for sure.
I think it might be mine too, directing wise at least.
Yes, yeah, correct. Like it's my favorite from him as a director. But you know, oh man, it's so fucking heavy, and it's like the stuff I don't want to say about it is like we talked about it. Like this is a movie that is way more than what the trailers are selling it as, and that is in the best way.
It's not about the specifics of the Civil War, which is you know, like part of me is understanding of why the marketing team would go that way. And perhaps it was somewhat smart because it sparked conversations, but it didn't spark the right kind of conversations, and it didn't spark the right kind of it didn't set the right kind of expectations, because the movie's not about that. The movie is a deeply personal story about how war photographers navigate such a situation. And that's what the movie is about, and that's just not what the trailer had presented. And I think in terms of what the movie truly is, it is wildly effective, like overwhelmingly effective. The way I put it in, I was about to say my tweet, but I did a full review too, is I can't imagine a movie putting you in the shoes of a war photographer and the head of a war photographer more so than what this movie accomplished.
Well, and I mean, what is really good at it too is like Alex Garland has like an outsider's perspective, you know, like this is not, it's a British perspective on what's happening. But again, I think it's important to get that outside perspective because, you know, some people are reading Civil War as like being too on the nose or something like that. But that's the point of it. Once again, like this is somebody who's looking from the outside in at America as it is right now. And not only that, though, doing this ingenious thing by going through the journalists, like this is also from the journalist perspective as characters. And what that does is it kind of gives it that like documentary feel where like a good documentary is unbiased. It doesn't tell you right or wrong. It simply presents what's there and has you think about it for yourself. And that is absolutely what Civil War does, because once again, like that is the whole point of being a combat journalist, is that like you can't intervene with what's happening. You can simply take pictures and hope that people take those warnings the right way.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I think was most fascinating and disturbing about Civil War also, is the fact that it highlights how much war photographers put on the line to do their jobs, and their job is important because we should be highlighting certain bad behavior and injustices in the world in hopes that seeing things like that will inspire change. The problem is we just seem to be in an endless cycle where nobody actually does change anything, and then it hits a point where you have to wonder, like, how long can a war photographer continue to do that? Can they recommend others get into the field? And I thought that the dynamic between Kirsten Dunst and Kaylee Spaney's characters in particular was like, that is one heck of a relationship arc to achieve in one single feature film. When you look at where those two start and where those two end up, it's like, holy shit. And that end up is the ultimate punch to the gut. After I saw the movie, obviously I spoke to someone who had seen it, and they're like, how do you feel about that? And I'm like, I gotta think about that for a minute. That knocked the wind out of me. And ultimately, I come to the conclusion that it is a wildly effective storytelling beat, one that works in the context of the film and the film alone, but also one that sticks with you. But man, is that a lot.
Yeah, again, like it's important to like kind of take your time with this one too, because immediate reactions are not maybe what will give you the best like overall interpretation of the film. Like I couldn't write this review immediately, and like that for South by, that's crazy. Like South by, you got to churn through reviews, get them out immediately. But like I messaged, I did this for Collider, so I messaged the guys at Collider and I was like, hey, I need like at least the night to think about this movie, because that is the kind of film this is. You will be arguing with your friends about what you think it means. You will be arguing what you think the movie is saying, but ultimately, like, that is the whole. It's the identity of a really effective film, and I like also the technical elements, like even beyond like what the film
So
means and
good.
stuff like that. Like, it's fucking beautiful. It is a beautiful film to look at as you see what is happening to America at the same time. And yeah, like cinematography alone, there are some striking imagery here that like it doesn't even have to be the war stuff. We do get a little bit of like war action, let's say, with
Mhm.
like helicopters in DC and stuff like that, and that stuff looks amazing. But I'm talking more like the road trip element of it, as we get journalists just driving across a, again, like ravaged America by civil war, all the consequences and stuff like that, and like just the mountainscapes and like this beautiful scene that something horrible happens in, and yet they're driving through this like forest that's on fire and the embers are like fireflies. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, it's Rob Hardy cinematography, phenomenal. I
Yeah.
thought
Yep.
the sound design was great as well. Not to make this an argument against other reviews and takes out there, but I've seen a lot of criticism of the movie feeling empty, and I found it to be the exact opposite of empty. Like, it might not give any simple answers or solutions to anything, but it gives you
Yeah.
a whole lot to chew on, and it's the kind of stuff that you chew on in a way that hopefully inspires. I think some of the points they're making about war photography, it inspires you to act and reassess your place in this world, and maybe do something about it.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day too, like it's one of those films where people might not like this movie because they do want the happy answer at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that
Mm.
there isn't hope kind of snuck into this movie like a Trojan horse, let's say.
Mhm.
But I mean, this is a film that I can't predict at this point, or I can't even tell at this point if Alex Garland is giving us a warning or telling us the future. And like that is the thing that is so fucking terrifying about
Feels
it.
like the
Like
same thing to me.
that's what I'm saying. So like it feels like both, where like there's again, to bring up the fact that he doesn't take a stance or a bias. He is simply just putting in front of us what could happen. Uh, like that's hard. That's hard for some people to watch, and that's
Yeah.
gonna be hard for some people to watch. So like, yeah, I totally get anyone that walks away and goes, I don't need that right now. I can't do this right now. Like, that's fair.
Hugely alarming. I'll jump to this one next because it's
Yep.
also
Yeah. Yeah.
about Civil War. How is Kaylee Spaney in Civil War? Newly massive fan of them, excited for it and Alien. Kaylee Spaney, I think, is one of the best out there. I think she should have gotten so much more praise for what she did in Priscilla. And I mean, I guess I've been following her career ever since she first hit the scene. I guess it was Pac Rim was her breakout, right? And then she had Bad Times at the El Royale, but
Yeah.
I think she is wildly talented. She is going far, far, far in this business. And this is like one heck of a performance showcase for her, especially alongside a legend like Kirsten Dunst.
It's like you said before, the character arc that they develop between the two of them, because like she's the mini me of
Mm.
Kirsten Dunst's war photographer, and she wants to be everything that she is, but like she's a kid out there doing war photography and in these crazy predicaments of like actual mercenaries fighting against armed government soldiers and all this shit. So like getting her perspective is so vital. It's so like new and so fresh, and like that against the hardened Kirsten Dunst, both just A+ performances. And honestly, everybody. I'm blanking on the actor who plays Joel, but once again, like I think that might be the best performance in the entire.
Oh, wow. Are you talking about Wagner Mora?
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought he was great. And so is Stephen McKinley Henderson too. The four of them I thought were really good together because this is like a pretty like bleak, dire movie. And the
Yep.
fact that they, give a little bit of light via their chemistry together, and I don't know how invested you can get in them as individuals, but also them as like a group of travelers sticking together. I think that's a type of heart this movie desperately needed, and it has it in spades.
Yeah, like again, like this might be one of my favorite ensembles of the year. Like
Mhm.
I know South by
Give you
always has
that.
this perception of like, oh, it's a South by movie. Of course, everyone loves it. And like, here's the thing, like that. I mean, number one, I'm a critic, so I'm reacting to it as I did. I didn't like a lot of movies at South by this year. I just
Yeah.
didn't mention them. Civil War is an easy one for me that I think is going to be in my top 10. And like that ensemble is everything. Like it's
Uh,
just A+ acting.
I'll build on that a little. I saw one single movie at South by that I would give a negative review to, and that's it.
Mhm.
The list would be 2 movies if I was counting Sundance crossovers, but I
Oh, yeah.
saw one movie I didn't like.
Oh, nice. I saw again. I saw more than that. We have different opinions on things sometimes, so we'll
Yeah.
get to
Oh,
that.
yeah. Oh, no. I
We'll
know what
get
you're
to that.
gonna. I know what you're gonna get to. I know what you're gonna get to. I'm prepared for it. 2 more supers.
Yep.
Haunted Autumn says I need
Yep.
Perri a Perri cameo in a Scream film, playing a critic reviewing the latest installment in the Stab franchise. I would do that.
I
Just
mean,
wanted to drop some support. We appreciate you, Haunted Autumn.
they had Bloody Disgusting featured in the last one, or
Yeah.
the 2 ago. They had Dead Meat featured, so like, I
So I'm
think
next up,
they'd be
right?
game. Yeah, they'd be game. Yeah. It'll be like it'll be a newbie thing. They'll go to see a movie in a theater, and you'll be on the
and
newbie.
then I'll just be up there promoting the next Stab movie. It's the
Yeah,
next Perri
exactly.
pick.
No, that'd be great. Actually, that would be fucking amazing.
I would enjoy that quite a bit. Wiley also says, have you guys seen Parachute from last year's South by Southwest, directed by Brittany Snow? Was my favorite from the fest. I meant to see that one because it also stars Courtney Eaton, right? And I missed that.
Yeah, I've not seen that. Yeah.
I am going to make a point to circle back for that one soon because I know it's out now too. So I would really like to see that.
It's crazy, like looking back at last year, like because it's been a year since South by, which is insane, and like how recently movies have like come out that I saw at South by, and how some haven't even hit yet.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention because I was going through the chat just to make sure we didn't miss anything important.
Just making offhanded comments.
I'll take that. I'll take that. So what else? What else did you like?
I mean, like,
where do we go from here? We have no structure.
Well, I was gonna say, do you want to go like with your favorite first? Like, what was your favorite movie the entire festival?
So I've been like retooling my top, but I'll tell you where I landed ultimately for a top 5.
Okay.
I still I can't believe this too, because a lot of times, I don't know. I guess a lot of times I go to South by Southwest in particular just because it's a film festival that, I think well represents studio movies, but also independent movies seeking distribution. Usually my favorites wind up being those gems that you discover. And I've seen a lot of really solid studio movies there, but I feel like they don't rise to the top of the list as much as they did this year. My number 1 would be Civil War.
Okay.
My number 2 would be Fall Guy.
Okay.
Should I count a movie that I saw at Sundance and played at South by or no?
I mean, that's up to you. Like, I usually don't, but also like it's technically a South by movie. Like,
okay, well, in that case, my number 3 would be It's What's Inside.
Okay.
My number 4 would be My Dead Friend Zoe, and my number 5 would be So Torn.
Yeah, that's fair. That's all fair.
What's yours?
We actually do have a lot of crossover there. So like my outright favorite is My Dead Friend Zoe. That is exactly where the only 2 9 out of 10s I gave were Best Friend Zoe and Civil War. I did end up liking Time Stalker, I think, as like one of my favorites because again, like I'm a sucker for Alice Lowe, and I just think it's such a unique film that like pulls off pulls off everything it's doing. Like I can't even say one thing it does well. It pulls off everything, and that shouldn't happen. But you're right. The Fall Guy's in my top. I can't get away from the Fall Guy, and that it's what you said. That never usually happens. Usually the studio stuff at South by does not track as well for me as like the indie stuff. I'll also go to bat for Y2K, which I know I'm on the high end for, but I think Y2K is a hilarious millennial horror movie that like for me. For somebody who fucking like grew up listening to Limp Bizkit and shit like that, like I grew up around that era. That's what we did. Like we know that era so well. So I finally saw like my childhood on screen in a way that I was like, oh fuck, I'm old. Like fuck.
I wanted to make sure because we brought up so like most people know a lot of the titles we've just spoken about, except because My Dead Friend Zoe is more of a festival debut. Does that one have distribution?
No, that
didn't get picked up.
That one's got nothing.
It will. It's inevitable.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to make sure you all know what that is. So, My Dead Friend Zoe is a dark comedy drama that follows the journey of Merritt, a U.S. Army Afghanistan veteran who is at odds with her family thanks to the presence of Zoe, her dead best friend from the Army. Despite the persistence of her VA group counselor, the tough love of her mother, and the levity of an unexpected love interest, Merritt's cozy, dysfunctional friendship with Zoe keeps the duo insulated from the world. That is until Merritt's estranged grandfather, holed up at the family's ancestral lake house, begins to lose his way and is in need of one thing he refuses: help. At its core, this is about a complicated friendship and a divided family, and the complex ways in which we process grief. Like, so well done.
So
And yes,
like firstly, yes, this is Travis Kelsey like helped get this made, helped, but like so the power behind this film is that I mean the director who I wait, let me just look up the name so I don't fuck this up.
The name of the director?
Yeah, Kyle
Houseman Stokes.
Yeah, so like the director Kyle Houseman Stokes was an Iraq, he's an Iraq war vet. He was a paratrooper, and actually his story is crazy because like he got whatever the term is where like he served his portion and then he was like he got the basically order to say you have to serve again, but he was pulled aside by like basically one of the commanding officers like saw the videos he was making for the military while being part of it and was like, you are going to do better things than go back into the military. Like not better as in like, that's not good, but like, listen, we have everyone we need. Like we have plenty of people who are going to go fight for our country. You're going to go make movies about what we're doing the right way. And I think, you know, to look at everything that My Dead Friend Zoe is about, it's about PTSD so hardcore. It's about like, you know, soldiers coming back and what they deal with. Like it's not glorifying war in any way. It's not glorifying the military by any means. What it is basically saying like what happens to people when they come home and they have to deal with this stuff in basic humanity. And like, holy fuck, Sonequa Martin Green is like
so good.
One of the best performances, but like also Natalie Morales,
their dynamic together, that whole thing doesn't work unless the two of them are pitch perfect together, and it's like it's absolutely seamless. And also a lot of credit goes to Kyle for that too, because there's a lot of like very smart writing and visual planning that makes that concept work as well as it does and feel natural and real for every single character in the movie, which isn't an easy thing to establish, and he does it exceptionally well.
Yeah, and the idea that it is a movie dedicated to veterans who are suffering, made by veterans who have or might still be suffering, and that includes like most of the actors on screen that we see have all served at some point, and like everyone from Morgan Freeman to like, you know, we have Ed Harris playing a character in there, but like all the people who are in the meetings that you know, Sonequa Martin Green's character is going to Merritt, those are all veterans as well. Like they do a whole scroll at the end of the movie that like, this is so...
I cried throughout the entire thing.
The last 20 minutes, I was watching it at Matt Monagle's house, my friend, and like his wife was working like behind me, like working at her desk station, and I'm just like sitting there choking back tears for 20 minutes, just being like trying not to like interrupt her with sobbing. Fucking it's just, again, like it's an emotional powerhouse. It's one of those movies that you watch and it is a character piece that just defines, number one, like what character pieces, how impactful they can be, and also just a performance piece. This is based on every one of the actors in this movie just selling the fuck out of their roles in ways that like you just said, the whole ghost aspect that shouldn't work as well as it does. That could have failed so tremendously, but Green and Natalie Morales as the ghost, let's say Zoe, holy fuck.
So good. And also the intercutting between the present and the past, I thought was so well done. That's another thing that's typically quite difficult to do in a narrative like this. Yeah. And also it's obviously very, very specific to the Army and the veteran experience, but and I don't want to imply that, you know, movies are a substitution for therapy, but sometimes movies can have a therapeutic quality to them. And I did find that no matter, you know, what you're struggling to, whether you can relate directly or you have your own experiences with processing grief and friendships in your life, this movie has that therapeutic quality to it. Something that, you know, I think leaves you with a feeling of hope that might not have been there before, or, some inspiring ways to maybe reprocess things that you were thinking about in a darker manner and kind of like find the light in it. And I don't know, I just really appreciate that quality in this one.
Yeah, the last line of my review, which I wrote for Collider, the last line of my review basically just says that. And it says, like, yeah, this is a movie that is specifically made for a certain group of people who need to hear it most. But at the end of the day, it's still a universal story. It's still about PTSD on whole, and about like how we hold things inside and do damage to ourselves. And yeah, what could happen.
Yeah.
So fucking good.
So I'm just gonna do this now because this isn't gonna stop.
That's fine.
Questions about a Scream 7 video that was posted and it was taken down. It was. It's not like I can lie about it. It was up.
Yeah.
Some of you watched it, and then I took it down. I took it down because it's a very complicated situation that goes far beyond just Scream fandom and my love of the story. And there's a lot of there's a lot of very difficult issues to discuss around that. And I think some people are very eager to talk about Scream 7. Some would rather not and shine a spotlight, which I understand, on the real world truths that are wrapped up in that situation right now. And the truth of the matter is we got some very intense reactions, some rather threatening reactions to that video. And as much as I want to talk about the situation and talk about Scream in general as appropriately as possible, I also would like to just not invite those kinds of comments into my life so that I could forge forward too. And if that means stepping back from the conversation for a period of time or reprocessing how I approach it in the future, that is what I'm going to do. So the video has been taken down and hopefully we could circle back down the line. But for now, that video had to have been taken down, and that's where we stand right now.
Also, it's completely different, completely derailing all of that. What you said is correct. That's totally fine. But getting my late overdue Fernandez compliment.
Oh my!
Thank you.
From I was like, what is that? What is that from? Yeah. From fantasy football from forever ago.
I'll take my props wherever I can get them.
Don't say sorry. Don't say sorry to me. Like the response to this video is like an itty bitty blip on the radar compared to everything else going on in the industry and the world. And that's what's the more important thing in the situation. I also saw a couple comments about Immaculate. So you want to just jump into that next?
Too fucking Immaculate.
So where do we even begin with Immaculate? Here, I'll just like keep the
go ahead.
I'll keep the synopsis trend going because at least that way people who aren't fully in the know are informed on the story. So Sydney Sweeney stars in Immaculate as Cecilia, an American nun of devout faith embarking on a new journey in a remote convent in the picturesque Italian countryside. Cecilia's warm welcome quickly devolves into a nightmare as it becomes clear her new home harbors a sinister secret and unspeakable horrors. I don't even know if I want to pass the baton to you or start myself.
You go to Hillism. It's your channel. You do what you want. You start this.
But it's our show.
I know.
I liked Immaculate considerably. Okay. I really appreciated the deliberate pacing and build of the movie and the simplicity of it. It had an elegant simplicity that reminded me of a lot of classic horror movies from, like, let's say the late 60s, the 70s into the 80s. And I thought that it leaned into that and it captured that quite beautifully in a way that gave me more of what I know and love from those movies, but it also had enough new to it. And I think Sydney Sweeney is a unique powerhouse core to the film that basically made it feel like an homage, but also a completely different wild ride that has a downright, like, mind-blowing big finish from a performance standpoint, from a filmmaking standpoint, to story standpoint. I quite liked Immaculate.
I am very middling to negative on it. I mean, I gave it. I'm gonna be honest. I gave it a negative review. So I am sour on it. I agree with what you're saying. I think there are great homages to what I mean. Like literally, they use. I forget the part of the score they use, but like they take and lift directly from old school giallos, and like somebody's score like ripped it out and like gives you like that fun little stinger of like, oh, I've seen this movie before, but like they're actually paying homage in a direct way. Lots of really good. Once again, this is a beautifully shot film. Cinematography,
Yes.
A+. The way that they're capturing everything about like the nun genre, let's say, like either walking around the convent or doing all this stuff. Let's say there's catacombs later on. It is shot immaculately well. I'll go ahead and say that. But for me, where it lost me and where it loses me, number one, like, is the horror architecture. Like,
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at you.
nah, pro nun. I've liked plenty of nunsploitation movies too. But here's the thing: it's not really nunsploitation. It's a hollow shell of nunsploitation. And once again, the horror architecture to me is really basic and kind of infuriating. Because this is basically like Loud Noises, the movie, and all it does
No.
over and over again is just throw loud noises at you, and it doesn't really create a sense of dread outside of that to me. I don't think any of that carries through. I also think the story is wonky at best and jumps around between timelines. I don't agree with what you said about the pacing and stuff like that. I don't think it is a simplistic story done well. I think there are so many ideas thrown on the
Wow.
screen that don't have a purpose in the end. I don't want to spoil some things, but like we reach a point in the movie that is very, very pivotal, and it makes me question the entirety of what I've seen to that point. It involves a basement. It involves maybe laboratories. I don't know. But we see something that makes the entirety of what we've seen to that point a huge question mark. It's not told well. It's not a well told story.
We have to talk about that specific thing. Obviously not today because we don't want to spoil
Yeah,
anything for
it comes
anybody,
out.
but
It comes out this week, or right this week. I'm correct.
22nd.
22nd. Yeah, so it's coming out this week. We can do spoiler stuff maybe next weekend or whenever we talk next.
Yeah, I mean, respectfully, I disagree on a lot of those points.
Yep.
There was something specific that I wanted to follow up on that you said though, and now it's
Well,
a
the storytelling is when you took when your face changed when I said the storytelling wasn't
Oh,
well
no,
thought out.
it's when you called it Loud Noises the
Yeah,
movie.
Loud Noises the
That's
movie.
one thing that I thought it did especially well, where it took traditional scare formatting and I think switched it just a bit that I thought I knew what was coming, and then all of a sudden I was caught off guard, and that was very jarring to me in an earned way.
See, I felt unearned because they used the same loud noises tactic over and over again. Like, I am pro jump scare. I made an entire 20-minute video for IGN defending the jump scare and why it is a integral
Yeah.
part of horror. But when you overuse it and that's your only method to get me scared, that is a problem. And so again, that to me, that was Immaculate. Immaculate was made, I think I wrote in my review, like to me, Immaculate feels like an AI generated movie of some computer that thinks it understands horror. And while it is again a gorgeous film that I think cinematography is like one of the best things about this, and I could talk about it for hours. What it's hiding underneath is very shallow, and what it's hiding underneath, Sydney Sweeney also very good. Will not say anything bad about her performance. It just doesn't work. It's a wonky fucking off its kilter story that once again, like, it doesn't know how to pay things off that are shown early on, whether that's a tooth rotting out. Like, things just happen, like you say, in an Italian giallo kind of way where, oh fuck, it just happens, and like we go kind of ride with it. And it's trying to replicate that too much where it literally leaves me behind. So there.
All right, all right. I respect the thought. I had a different experience. So when everybody out there goes to check it out, Matt vs. None.
I like the first Nun. Even if we're talking Nun movies specifically titled The Nun, I like the first one. It has like a 23% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm one of the only ones that's positive.
Well, when everybody
None.
goes to see it next week when we do Merri Hour, we can delve into spoilers a little, assuming
And my
everything's
deep
fresh in
hatred
my
of
mind.
nuns.
There was another chat that I felt like I should respond to. I mean, I should just be able to say it. I feel like sometimes it's a little challenging when you go to a film festival and you see an independently produced movie and it's fighting to get distribution that it hurts a little to like rip something apart. And I feel like a negative review should always be conducted respectfully, but I also can't hide what I didn't like. Otherwise, what kind of critic am I? The movie that I really did not like at South by Southwest, and I think is a very misguided story, is Switch Up. I did not like that one. I liked the people who made it quite a bit. They're lovely individuals, and I think some of them are very, very talented, but this movie did not work for me at all.
I mean, I can help you out there too, in the sense where like things that disappointed me a little bit. I mean, outside the mainstream stuff, like I did not connect with Immaculate, as we just talked about. I did not connect with Roadhouse a single fucking bit. I don't get people that are saying it's fun and campy and all these things, and like it's bad. It's a bad movie. It's technically bad. It's ugly. It's an ugly. Why is there CGI in a Roadhouse movie? And why is there so much CGI in a Roadhouse movie where you can't even use real water? That makes me mad.
You can't even use real water.
The entire third act is shot on a soundstage, and like it's largely in the water, and literally it looks like they just superimposed them in like an empty tank. And there's just
they use like the TikTok filter where it's like
legitimately
like
one point it really looks like that. So like, and also action. The scenes, the whole movie starts with Post Malone being like an underground fighter. Hilarious. Okay. Love him. Great dude. But like his arms, you see his arms are starting to move really weirdly. And that's because like they enhanced that, because like he's not a fighter, he's not one of these guys, so like you see the action, and they used all these like post-production enhancement, and it looks so fucking bad. Like it's Yikes. I understand the original Roadhouse is what we might call a cult classic, and people might appreciate it more than others do, but that is still a movie dedicated to just brawls. It's all physical, it's all happening, like that is people just brawling out. Where this movie feels once again like an AI generated fucking movie, which we know is true in parts, because the ADR, holy crap, that's bad as well. As if you've seen reports, the movie, people are suing them. I forget who it was. I think the old writer of the first. Oh yeah, this is actually a thing. Like, sorry, Google AI Roadhouse.
I'm doing it right now.
You will find the article and the allegation.
A headline from Variety says original Roadhouse writer sues Amazon, alleges streamer used AI to replicate actors' voices.
Yeah, because like they were running out. It's something about running out with the rights, and they had to get it done in a certain time, and the strike almost basically screwed them. In any case, it's so bad. Conor McGregor is fun for a fucking second as a drunk leprechaun running around like fucking trying to fight people, but once again, no presence. I think he did a terrible job with the role, and I also think he's a terrible person. So why did we have to like do that stunt casting? Jake Gyllenhaal tries it. He plays it stone-faced, and it doesn't look like he's really having that much fun. And all around bad movie. So,
well, glad I'm skipping my screening tomorrow night. Yep. I don't think either of us saw this because we left before this movie screened. But
I was there. I was watching. I gave up. Like I was watching screeners. I had drinks with Cargill, and then I was like, I'm not making it to a movie. I'm out of here. And I just went home and watched screeners.
I don't blame you. I mean, as fun and wonderful as film festivals are, like you come home like a shell of yourself. Like I literally like didn't sleep more than like 4 hours a night for 5 days straight.
My entire schedule was just writing until 4 a.m. and waking up at like 9 the next day, and like trying to be a human and having a drink or two and just coasting.
The 2 days that were the hardest for me, because and I'm glad I did this, because it's been a very long time since I've done written reviews, and the Collider review team asked if I would write 2 of them, and I wrote The Fall Guy and I wrote Monkey Man, but those were the hardest nights. Like getting up at the crack of dawn to get ready for interviews, conducting like 5-6 interviews, going to see, let's say, Monkey Man, and then getting back to the Airbnb at midnight, writing until about like 2-3 in the morning, then going to bed, waking up at 7 the next day to prepare for the next day's interviews. It was a lot of energy drinks and coffee was had during this festival, like more than usual.
Wait, I have to go back to this really quickly, because that's way too easy a descriptor. Like his inspirations, Conor McGregor's inspirations for this fucking movie were like, oh my God, like he's Popeye, he's like a silverback gorilla. And I don't know if you ever watched, like Golden Grahams had this really terrifying mascot for a little while. And like, that is who he's channeling. It's fucking unhinged. There's nothing good about it.
Fascinating. I really appreciate this super chat from Mark, because this is the goal. This is why I love this channel. Honest debates, honest, but respectful debates here.
Yeah.
Always.
I will
Always.
always respect the hell out of you, but I respect my opinions more.
And Brett WB is here to say, longtime viewer, first time tipper. Thanks for everything. We really appreciate that, Brett. We love our community here. We love being able to do this. Matt, we can't fuck this up again this year.
Oh, that's right.
When is our 4-year anniversary?
Sometime in
4
May.
years.
Sometime in
4
May.
years. That's wild that we've been doing this for 4 years.
Oh, maybe it was honeycombs. Sorry, Jay Scoots. Good call.
Yeah.
Maybe it was honeycombs.
I was
Sorry.
thinking
Anyway, but
4 years. And then Arturo is just here to support us. Give us a little chat. And then Mark texted me, so that's why my that's how I learned that my do not disturb was not on. Sorry, Mark, I'll text you right back. Back to the chat here, or back to another title. Actually, do you mind if I do like some like shameless self-promotion here? I remember. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you said that.
That's what he reminded me of in the movie. So yeah.
Did that thing have a name?
No, it didn't. I looked it up because in my review I got it right.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that all too well.
Anyway, sorry to keep derailing. I'm just fucking.
Yeah,
I'm mad. This was the opening night movie, and I was just like, I started on the sourest note. I was so pissed.
So I wanted to bring up Travis's, not to be like, like this is great, let me show this off, but because I wanted to talk about like a couple interviews that I was especially proud of that also lean into some titles that I really loved. I won't make this long, I promise, but a couple of the ones that made me feel really good. I think the Babes team was like exceptionally nice to me, like said a lot of really nice. I think they went above and beyond, like pushed it way further than I warranted, but they just said some really nice things. I also loved that movie. Did you see that one?
I did not. I did not get to, unfortunately.
I thought it was a really great exploration of the pressures of becoming a mother, but also how that can impact someone's friendship. And the friendship between Alana Glazer and Michelle Buteau's characters, just like it felt so real and authentic to me. And it had that glossy rom-com drama sheen to it, but it also had just enough texture to feel really grounded, that it was just the perfect blend between authenticity and entertainment. And I just like, I fell in love with those characters in the movie. Hacks.
Oh, nice.
That sitting at the table with Jean Smart was blowing my mind, but also that wildly talented group of people behind that show. It's one of my favorite shows on TV, and I got to screen the first 2 episodes of season 3, which I don't know how people who make a show like that set the bar so high and then keep it there, because that's hard. That's hard, but they were a wonderful group. And if you're looking for teases for Hack season 3, that interview is filled with them. Another favorite, and this is where we'll get into another review, is, I think you saw this one, So Torn, right? That is a very, very cool movie.
Yeah.
Made by a group of especially lovely people. And not that age should matter, but my brain can't compute how someone as young as Freddie, the director of the movie, is able to craft something as ambitious as that at such a young, he's so young. And like, really, any director out there, no matter how much, they could have all the experience in the world, and I'd still be sitting there thinking, how does one figure out how to believably craft scenes with these needle and thread contraptions in a way that makes me believe that they can work? And he does it from top to bottom in that movie.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue on this one. It's so cool the way that this is, like, to me it feels. Did you see In Fabric?
I did see In Fabric. I didn't love it.
Yeah, that's fair, but like, to me it feels like Peter Strickland, the director, who has done things like Burbian Sound Studio and other stuff of that nature, and like his take on Fargo, if that makes sense. And it gives this whole just like small town crime that happens. Also, the main character is a seamstress, and the entire film has that, like, but like the entire film like has that, everything's about threads and needles, and the way that she like goes about all the nasty things, all deals with being a seamstress. And I was like, how did you theme it so well that this all makes sense? I'm like, what the fuck?
I want to answer this question because I've
Yeah.
had some people ask it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
like sewing. So like SEW and then torn, TORN, two separate words. And just to give you a synopsis on this one, because I want to make sure everyone can wrap their heads
Yeah.
around what Freddie's actually doing here. Barbara, the mobile seamstress, is struggling to keep her fabric shop alive after a botched sewing appointment sets her on a quest to replace her client's button. She unexpectedly stumbles upon a drug deal gone bad. Faced with two downed motorcyclists, guns, and a briefcase, Barbara is completely torn. She is forced to pick between three choices: commit the perfect crime, call the police, or drive away. The narrative presents the repercussions of all three decisions and the deadly confrontations that result from each as she gets entangled with the case's owner. Using thread to free herself, Barbara stops at nothing to save her store. So, like, there's
It's
so much good in that synopsis. We didn't even talk about the narrative choices here to show three different paths and to do so effectively where it doesn't necessarily feel like three short stories, but rather
no.
builds towards one big culmination for this character. Yet another part of this that's so well done. And Eve Connolly plays Barbara in this. And what what a wildly effective, subtle yet intense performance. I thought she just like ate this role up and
Yeah.
probably I haven't read the script, but probably took what was on the page and like just breathed so much of her unique sense of life into it. I thought she was exceptional.
I also love that it's a father son production in a way. Like like the writing duo of like Freddie working
Freddie
with
and Fred.
Freddie and Fred. Like I had to like I looked it up obviously because I'm like, wait, Freddie and Fred have writing credits. How does this go? So like, yeah, Freddie works with his father, Fred, and that's the writing team. Also, this is based on a short that was his admission into film school, and like literally that like he wasn't even in film school yet, and he made the short that became a fucking major motion
Yeah.
picture. Like
Dude,
that's
dude's
talent.
a true natural talent. Mark
Yeah,
my words, he will go far in this business
yeah.
if, he wants to continue pursuing it. And I hope he does cuz like that talent is raw and it's real.
Can I
What?
shout out a weird one?
Yeah, let's hear it. I like weird
I
ones.
really liked. Well, actually, before I do, yes, K Walton is 100% correct with this.
Hmm.
Like insane. Anyway, I will
What's your
shout out a
weird
weird
one?
one that I really liked. It was a documentary. I don't usually get to do docs, and
Oh,
I got to review one this year.
I know. I think I know where this is going.
Yeah, it's great. It's called Grand Theft
Yeah.
Hamlet. And for anyone that doesn't know, the very quick synopsis is it's about I forget it's the third lockdown in the UK for COVID, and basically actors have been out of work for a very long time, and two actor friends were trying to figure out how they could continue their creative pursuit while still not being able to get jobs, and that led them to play Grand Theft Auto. You are correct. Grand Theft Hamlet is about Grand Theft Auto, and the documentary is shot entirely in game by one of the actors' partners, and what they capture is these two guys trying to bring together an entire production of Hamlet within Grand Theft Auto Online, and we see all of it. And it is so number one, it's very funny. It is a very funny documentary. Everything happens exactly kind of how you think it would happen. Like stage professional stage actors are trying to do Hamlet in a video game filled with violence and robbery and criminals and other users who are just running up to them and murdering them for no reason because that's what people do in Grand Theft Auto. But it's also super touching, and like as someone myself who depended on video games to stay social throughout the entirety of lockdown, like deeply effective. Like, did I cry at the end of the Grand Theft Auto Shakespeare movie? Yeah, because like I went right back to the fact that like I didn't do any stage productions in Warzone, but I still sat there every night with my friends. And like when you see how far these people get into it, and how like some actors they bring in who are all in game and they come in game to try out for the freaking thing. Like these are people who wouldn't normally get to be in a production of Hamlet, like and people that like feel comfortable doing it in a video game. So like there are so many just there is the high concept of the doc up here, and then everything they uncover below it, and I'm endlessly impressed. So like look out for Grand Theft Hamlet. It's a really interesting film.
After you told me about that at the festival, that was one that immediately shot up my list as far as ones
Yeah.
to circle back to eventually. I really want to see that. Trying to think of any other big one. We didn't really talk about Oddity yet, right?
You can. I see it tonight, so you
Oh,
you
you
can
see
talk
it tonight.
about it if you
You
want.
that's what you're watching tonight. Well, I
Yep.
mean, I highly recommend Oddity. Again, I'll pull up a little synopsis for this one. So this is short and sweet. In this new supernatural spectacle from Caveat's Damian McCarthy, a blind medium uncovers the truth behind her sister's death with the help of a frightening wooden mannequin. The wooden mannequin is iconic. The
I
wooden
can't
man.
wait.
The wooden man, I think, is the official way that they're referring to him, but
Yeah.
he's a pretty iconic horror movie object. Um,
He was at the party, or he was at the
yeah,
IFC
that
party. Yeah, yeah.
that's one of the big reasons why I regretted not going to the party. I was really hoping they would bring him to my interview, but they didn't do that. But hopefully I'll meet the Wooden Man in the future. But anyway, I thought that this was like a really, really refreshing genre mashup. Not really genre mashup. I mean more subgenre mashup. There's so many different elements, like, like home invasion, haunted objects. I could go on, and I
Yeah.
think the way that Damien weaves everything together makes it work really well in terms of, kind of like feeling like an homage to different types of horror genres that genre. Jesus, I said genre. There's a
Hanra.
throwback for everyone.
Hanra.
I said that once on Movie Talk, or it was either Movie Talk or Collider Nightmares, and it really caught on. But it feels like an homage to a variety of horror subgenres, but also stands on its own 2 feet as this like really like textured atmospheric world that he builds that feels like very singular to Damien McCarthy as a director.
Mm.
It's really like a world that envelops you and feels full around you. And I loved the medium character. It was like she's one of those characters where I do think we get a full version of her in the movie and we get a satisfying journey for her in the movie, but I became so obsessed with her that I want to know every ounce of her life, how she came to be where we meet her at the beginning of the movie, and every little thing that she does. It's just it's a really, really, really rich world, and I appreciated that.
I'm excited.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else on my
I was
list
gonna
that
say I have.
you
I
want me
can
to
just do
talk
like
about.
I can do quick hits really quickly, like no in depth, but like there's a few of
Let's
just
hear it.
like movies I liked. There's a horror movie called Family, which very much feels
Oh,
in the
I wanted to
vein
see
of
that.
everything from like Hereditary. So here, like Hereditary, Baskin, A Dark Song, Gretel and Hansel. So like
Baskin.
those are the movies I'm using to say it. It has effective scares. Holy shit, there's some scares in here that are like the next coming of a really good genre filmmaker. Story gets a little weird, but that's it. So Family good. Azrael, I ended up liking
Oh, I liked
Azrael.
Azrael a lot.
I think I don't say this with the negative connotation some might take, but I think it would have been a really, really good VHS segment. But as a full length feature, it is still good. Samara Weaving can carry anything, and that includes
He's so good.
like
She's
can carry
so
anything.
good.
For those who don't know, Azrael has no dialogue from Weaving. This is entirely about let's say a cult scenario in the woods and a very small, just simple story. Samara Weaving versus cult in woods, no dialogue, decent. Arcadian, a decent A Quiet Place ripoff. And I don't mean ripoff as in like shame on you. Like, no, it's doing A Quiet Place just a different way. The creature effects, like the beginning of Arcadian is fine. Everything's fine about it. Nick Cage protecting children in the apocalypse, and they batten down the hatches every night on their farmhouse. Like, again, the A Quiet Place parallels are there. But the creature work, holy shit, it's good. It's better than A Quiet Place. This is some of the, like the most exciting creature work I have seen in a long time when the
I'm into that.
when their monsters attack. So that's a good one. The Gutter is a 90s 2000s sports comedy about a dumbass who gets into professional bowling, and yeah, everyone is a target. If you like movies that like The Gutter is that movie that like right wingers say you can't make movies like this anymore. Like, no, you can. You just have to be funny. And that's The Gutter. Like, that's simply how it comes down. And my last one, actually, someone brought up Cuckoo before.
Oh, I saw it too.
I didn't love it, and I'm really bummed.
I really love
yeah.
parts of it. I think the whole didn't come together for me.
Yeah, I honestly, that's one of my negative reviews of the fest because Neon has it, so it has a date, it has distribution. I love his previous movie. Tell Me Singer is such an interesting filmmaker, and I think Luz works a lot better than Cuckoo for reasons in my review. You can read it on Inverse.
I wouldn't go negative on it. I'd be mixed positive, but I don't think everything aligned quite like I needed it to.
Yeah.
I'll briefly name drop Musica, the Rudy Mancuso movie. I do want to
Okay.
make sure I say this properly though. It's his my web browser keeps freezing. It's his feature directorial debut. Like now, and also now because it's kind of music. I'll never be able to find the title because
Oh yeah,
all South
absolutely.
by
Yeah, yeah,
music stuff keeps coming
yeah.
up. I have it now. So I'm not even going to pronounce this right. He plays and he is a creator with synesthesia, and the movie it's like a really interesting filmmaking feat and
Yeah.
something where if you had told me about it before I had seen the movie, I would have thought to myself, like, I don't know how you bring that to life on screen in a way that makes the audience share in a feeling and an experience that they kind of can't have in real life. He in real life and his character in the movie, I'm going to explain it. I'm not going to explain it right. So I'll direct
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
to the interview where he explains it properly, but he experiences certain things in life as like beats and rhythms and music, and the way that he like welcomes the viewer into that world and is able to really make you feel and hear what he feels and hears is pretty impressive, especially with a first feature. So I thought that was
Nice.
really well done. Going down my list here, I said I liked A Nice Indian Boy. I liked The Invited quite a bit. That's the
I
one that
heard.
stars
Yeah.
Elizabeth Reeser and Walton Goggins, and it was originally supposed to be a play, and it's got like a play feel to it, but I think it's still quite cinematic, and I really appreciated how the generations are woven together in a way that respects youth, the pursuit of a career and passions all throughout your life, and then also the tail end of life as well. I thought all of that really built one on top of the other quite nicely. I talked about So Torn. I thought Backspot was great. That one premiered at TIFF and then it went to Sundance and now it's at South by Southwest, but it's about competitive gymnastics and also, the personal pursuit of greatness within the sport, but also, a little bit of a coming of age story as well. And I really thought that
Did
was great. I love
Did you like? I saw the TV Glow out of Sundance. Did you see it there?
did not. That
Yeah.
was
So
not
totally.
quite
I
for
was just
me.
curious. Yeah, because
There
like I
Filmmaking I admire though. Like I'll
I
I'll always sit here and applaud ambitious filmmaking, and that
Yeah,
is
like that
that.
that was kinda like my takeaway, but, like, I did not like We're All Going to the World's Fair, so
Mm.
I saw the TV Glow, showruns, like, film that premiered at Sundance and came to South by, a little bit, like, soft on it. I was like, I don't know if this is gonna be for me. I ended up liking this one a decent deal. I think Justice Smith is so good in it. I think that
He
there's
is
a
very
lot of
good
real
in it.
existential dread for again the millennial crowd, and I like pairing Y2K and I saw the TV Glow together,
Mm.
being like we're finally getting that era of nostalgia coming out. But yeah, I was surprised that I was decent on it. I don't love it. I don't love I saw the TV Glow again. I still think it's a little bit out ethereal, let's say, like kind of just like flooding around for me, where like I need a little more strength of like command. But I think
Mm.
people are gonna love this movie. I think people are gonna fucking go crazy for it.
I'm very curious to see how that one's received when it comes out.
Yeah.
I also really like I Wish You All the Best, Tommy Dorfman's feature directorial debut, and I just thought that was a movie with like a massive beating heart and an exceptional cast that is just like bursting at the seams with
Yeah.
chemistry. I thought Cold Wallet was okay. I didn't love it. Um, but I'd still teeter positive on it. I saw Sasquatch Sunset at Sundance. Everybody already knows that I like that. And I think that's just about everything. I think I like
Yeah.
briefly hit everything.
I talked
High
about everything I
Tide.
wanted
High
to.
Tide was great.
Oh, okay.
I thought High Tide was great. Really, intimate story of like someone finding their place. I want to bring up
Yeah.
that town actually. So I get that part accurate. Oh my god, there's so many facts and names and stuff burst, like swirling around in my brain right now. Heartbroken and adrift, undocumented Brazilian immigrant Lorenzo searches for purpose in the queer mecca of Provincetown while awaiting the return of his distant American lover. Blah blah blah. I don't have to read the rest, but like it's a really beautiful, intimate, soulful story of Lorenzo finding his place and his people in the world, and his he starts a new relationship with a character played by, of course, the rest of the cast's names are not. Oh, there it is. James Bland, who I thought was fantastic in the film as well, and like a really full feeling supporting performance, and like their chemistry is through the roof. Marissa Tomei is a great supporting role in the movie as well. I thought that one was really something special. So High Tide, keep an eye out for that one as well.
Hell yeah.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I'm not even done yet. The fact that I'm going to watch movies tonight is still to me like mind blowing. But I got like, I might try Cryptic too after Oddity for sure. I'm going to watch right now. Cool. Cryptic after that, and then see what happens.
Right. With that, I'll apologize for any red eye brain and word vomit that came out because of it. Is there anything else before we close out?
No, you can just follow me as always at DonatoBomb on Twitter, Letterboxd, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere. And that's my social everywhere. DonatoBomb. As I've said, there are fucking 15, 16 reviews out there already from South by, and plenty more stuff coming. So follow me. I will try to keep on top of where everything posts so I can tell you where.
I'll just briefly say this is not a South by movie. Stop motion is great. I highly recommend it. Yep. I will simply promote going over to collider.com and also the Collider Interviews YouTube channel, because I did 20 interviews at South by Southwest and I worked very hard on them. So I would like you to watch them because I worked hard on them, and also because they're good movies that deserve time in the spotlight, and they're artists that if you don't know them already, they're wildly talented individuals that will undoubtedly be worth knowing as they continue to build their career. So go meet them, please. With that, it's a wrap on this week's, but last week's Merri Hour. We'll still have another one this weekend. So this isn't this week's episode.
Titty tat.
Titty tat. Top titty tat. Bye from Matt's top titty tat. Bye.